Hey, it's Barrett Vickery and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're talking about Metaphysics 101. So the title of this video is Metaphysics 101, a crash course in ultimate reality. And I know that sounds really heady. I'm getting that title from this book, Conversations with God, book 4. This is a book on metaphysics. I'm really excited to share this video with you because it's a little bit scary for me to share. This type of philosophy is very central to who I am and how I developed as a teacher. So I like to say that I teach happiness, and the reason that I teach happiness is because at age 17, I went through some trauma, like many of us. Almost all of us have some trauma in our lives, and I kind of turned that trauma into a pursuit of happiness. And the idea that I've been asking myself for nearly a decade now is, how do you become happy? What actually works in creating long-term happiness for ourselves? And some of the best knowledge that I've ever found, and some of the earliest knowledge that I found, was metaphysics. So Conversations with God is a book about metaphysics. It's a channeled text. So the format of this book is Neale Donald Walsch wrote a letter to God, to the universe, and asked some questions. And so the 4 books are a question and answer format in which the universe is talking to Neale and giving him answers to questions. Oops, dropped the book. If you're new to this type of stuff, that's gonna sound really heady and like, oh gosh, this is super woo-woo. But the point I really wanna stress is that this stuff actually works. The reason I believe in this so much and the reason I'm so emphatic for these ideas is because I've spent the past 10 years studying and practicing these types of ideas in my own life. And I have seen that the greatest level of happiness and peace and contentment that I've been able to achieve is as a result of finding alignment with these ideas and practicing them on a daily basis. Let's hop into it. First of all, what is metaphysics? So metaphysics seems like kind of a woo-woo word, but metaphysics as a field of study is actually super old. Metaphysics as a word goes back to the Greeks, and essentially it's 2 words in one. So meta means above or beyond, and physics means, of course, physical. So metaphysics is the study of knowledge beyond physical reality, essentially. So metaphysics is basically the study of getting to the first principle of things. We want to understand how things work at a fundamental level and then build our life experience from that place of fundamental understanding, okay? So when we're talking about metaphysics here, we're kind of talking about modern metaphysics. So it goes back to the Greeks, and metaphysics has been around for a long time, but we're talking about modern metaphysics here. So this book could be considered modern metaphysics, also New Age philosophy. All those are basically talking about the same thing. So essentially here, we're talking about how to create reality, how to create your life experience. In vogue right now is the idea of manifesting. You want to manifest something. Bring something into your life experience, whether it's a new lover, success, money, a new house, a new job, whatever it is. So this idea that we can create and influence our life experience is not new, and it's becoming more and more popular. But oftentimes what happens is when we're interested in manifesting something, we're putting too much emphasis on trying to create material abundance. So the perspective of metaphysics is more on creating happiness and creating well-being, and then as a result, manifestations happen effortlessly. Okay, so if you're interested in manifesting, this type of knowledge can really help you to improve your manifesting ability, and you'll see why. Okay, so in this book, so essentially all of the stuff we're going to talk about today is from chapter 15 of Conversations with God, book 4, Awaken the Species. So basically the first idea here, number 1, that all reality is conscious. And you could also say that all reality is consciousness itself. So the first idea from this chapter is that all reality is consciousness itself. We are living in a conscious, alive universe. As a part of that, we are also conscious. We are a part of the physical reality that's happening around us by connection of us also being consciousness. And so manifestation works kind of in tandem with this idea that all reality is consciousness at its core state. First concept is all reality is consciousness. The second concept is that it's playing an illusion game. So this idea of Maya. Maya in Sanskrit means illusion. So the idea here is that not only is all reality conscious, it's also playing the game of being an illusion. And so this idea of Maya that the yogis use to describe physical reality is that it's playing a game. That reality is playing and putting on a character that it's not conscious and that it's not alive. And so we are living in a conscious reality that is playing the game of being an illusion. It's playing the character that it's not alive and that it's not conscious. This gives us a lot of different benefits and allows us to effectively experience life as something experienceable. The third idea here is that we can influence reality through our thoughts. Okay, so if all reality is consciousness, we can influence it through our consciousness. So we can influence our life experience through our thoughts. This is the idea that you are the creator. You're creating your life experience on a moment-to-moment basis through your thoughts. There's different ways of thinking about this, but basically the idea of manifesting is this, that all of reality is consciousness. You can influence that through your thoughts. The fourth piece of this chapter that's important is that thoughts arise from the mind, the body, and the soul. I'm gonna draw this. Thoughts arise from the body, the mind, and the soul. So you may remember this idea that we are a three-part being. You're a body, a mind, and a soul. I've made other videos about this that go more in depth. So go back and watch those if you would like. But the idea here is that thoughts and consciousness is affected by what our body, mind, and soul are doing. So our thoughts, the things that we are thinking, our consciousness, is created from these three parts of our being. The thing that really affects consciousness is not only thought, it's also desire. Not only are thoughts created, but also desire is created from these three parts of our being. So this is the idea that you are not a body and a mind. You're actually a spiritual self having a human experience. So your spiritual self has a certain desire, but also your body and mind have certain desires. It's really helpful to understand what the desires of the body and mind are versus what the desire of the soul is. The desire of the body and the mind are to keep you alive, to keep you in this physical experience. And so if you believe that you're a body and a mind, and you act from your body and mind all the time, oftentimes you will act from a place of fear, a place of comfort, and kind of like staying safe, because that's what the body and mind want. The body and mind want you to be safe. They're trying to keep you alive so that you can stay in this physical experience longer, right? And so it's literally hardwired into our body and mind to keep us safe. All of the different mechanisms for fear, anxiety, and depression exist in the body and the mind. So the desires of the body, eating food, having sex, reproducing, being really comfortable, getting sunlight, getting enough nutrients. These are the desires of the body. The mind is also designed to keep you alive, but it's different from the body. The mind is a higher functioning kind of computer, right? And so the mind is taking into account not only physical threats, but also social threats, okay? And so in the modern age, we're really experiencing this more than we ever have. Desires of the mind are usually kind of like ego desires, having more social status, having power, having money and material abundance, which is also kind of the body, but it's also a mental thing, right? Having, you know, status and power over others, being the big dog in the room, having a big ego, right? These are the desires of the mind, but realize that they're designed, again, to keep you alive. These two desires, the body and the mind, their main desires are to keep you alive and keep you safe. Okay, so when we act from those places, we're going to keep our life very small. Let's contrast that with the desire of the soul. According to this book, Conversations with God, the desire of the soul is to experience itself as divinity. When you're acting from a place of spiritual alignment, you're more happy. You're acting as your true self. You're telling the truth about who you are. You're being authentic. In this place is when you're able to connect with people best. This is when people like you the most because they're like, this guy is real. This is a real person that I'm talking to. This is when you're most funny. You have the best timing because you're not thinking so much. So when I get on an improv stage, I know that I am in alignment when I'm not thinking as much, right? And this is why I like improv as a spiritual tool, because you're getting out of your head. When you're in alignment with the spiritual self, you're able to get clarity. You're able to know which direction to go in your life to create more happiness and abundance for yourself. So the desire of the soul is to know itself as the creator in physical reality. which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. When we connect with the soul, we connect with love, we connect with compassion, we connect with the higher self, and we understand and remember our purpose for being here, which is to have a wonderful, joyous life experience. So this is metaphysics. This is what I get so excited about. This is the idea here. When we understand that we're not a body and a mind, we are a spiritual self that is using the vehicle of the body and the mind to have a life experience. And when we can connect with the desire of the soul, happiness is a natural result of doing that. And so this is why spiritual leaders throughout history have said that the only path to happiness, sustainable happiness, is through spiritual wellness. When we connect through the spiritual self, happiness is a natural result. Why? Because emotions are the language of the soul. So we think of emotions as kind of like a separate thing. Oftentimes when we talk about holistic wellness, it's like you're a body, a mind, a social self, an emotional self. Well, the emotions from the field of metaphysics views emotions and says that emotions are the language and the communication tool of the soul. So when you feel positive emotion, that's your indicator that you are in higher levels of alignment. You're in a higher state of vibrational being. So we have this idea here, okay? This is some of the basics of how metaphysics works. I want to jump back to desire here. So desire, higher levels of desire is kind of like the creative engine that causes manifestation to happen. This is why people that have hunger and people that are really driven in life are able to create the life that they want the most, is because desire is the engine. Desire is like the engine that fuels manifestation. So if we want to talk about creating success, creating manifestation, it's not just thoughts, it's desire. It's this hunger, this desire to create. And so the body, the mind, and the soul all have desire. And when we are identifying with each of these different places, we're creating different things. And so manifestations are happening as a result of where our desire is coming from and what desire we are acting upon. Okay, so we have these 5. We have 2 more left here. So remember these, that all reality is consciousness. The illusion, the big game here that we're playing is that it's not. The Maya, the yogis believe that Maya is the illusion. The illusion is that the Godhead is playing like it's not there. And then so we can understand that we are creating thoughts from the mind, the body, and the soul. When we create thoughts from the body, we are creating desires like comfort, like sex, like having a physical comfort and those wonderful things. Not a bad thing, but just understanding and having awareness where it's coming from. Desires of the mind for success, material abundance, etc. And then desires of the soul, love, compassion, connection with others, peace on earth, like all of these higher level things. 6th part of Metaphysics 101, chapter 15 of Conversations with God, book 4, is essentially that your attractive power increases through the power of alignment. And so your creative power, your ability to manifest and create reality, creative power increases through alignment. So what is alignment? So we talked about the 3-part being, right? We have the body, the mind, and the soul. All right. So we have the 3-part being. Each of these 3 parts of our being are creating desires all the time. Creative power increases through alignment of each of these pieces of our being. So manifestation is a spiritual process, right? It's creating physical reality through consciousness, okay? So we can increase our creative power, increase our ability to manifest through this principle of alignment. And remember that the soul is communicating to you through emotion. Emotion is your always indicator of where your vibrational energy is. When you feel positive emotion, you are in higher states of alignment. That's your natural self. Your natural state of being is happiness. It's positive emotion. It's feeling really good. So we can increase our creative power through alignment. How do we create alignment in the body and mind? Well, it's by bringing the body and mind into balance. It's basically by being physically and mentally healthy. Really easy thing to think about here is like yoga, is stretching, is like creating good posture in the body, creating a physically healthy body through exercise, creating a physical healthy body through good food and nutritious diet, having healthier breathing. Sleep, getting enough sleep is both a body and a mind thing. And so these are very connected as well. So breath, connects the mind and the body. Sleep connects the mind and the body. So we create alignment in both the body and mind through positive and healthy habits, essentially. And this is stuff that we know. You feel better when you eat healthy. You feel better when you get sleep. You feel better when you're getting enough vitamins and nutrients. You feel better when you're getting sunlight. You feel better when you breathe enough and you're breathing deeply enough and you're breathing healthily. We're creating alignment, right? Your emotions are responding to that. We feel better. That's an emotional experience. That's the soul communicating that you are more in alignment. And so we can use emotions as our indicator of where we are vibrationally. So we create alignment in the body and mind through essentially healthy habits, through all the healthy habits that we know. And we know we should be doing it. We all know we should be doing it, but why? It's like, I think one of the reasons it's hard for people to stick to habits is because there's not really a reason. It's like, oh, I want to eat healthy because I want to look good. I want to eat healthy so I can get a six-pack. It's like, okay, well that might work, but why does it not usually? Is because we're missing this piece. We're missing that the reason we want to be healthy in physical body and in mind is so that we can have a better emotional experience, so that we can be happier. Like the key to happiness is really finding the alignment in the body and mind and then realizing that it's connected to this larger piece. We increase our level of vibration and our creative power increases in proportion to that. So your ability to manifest the desires that you want in your life vision increases the more alignment that you have. So basically, the better you feel, the more energy that you have, the more vitality that you have, the better you are going to be able to create success for yourself. Whether it's financial abundance, whether it's attracting a mate, attracting a significant other, whatever it is that you're trying to do, like this is the model basically. When we study high performers, we see that they're doing many of these things. We study high performers, we see that they're taking care of their body, they're exercising every day, they have healthy food, they're getting enough sleep. When we study high performers, we see that they're meditating. Almost all of them are meditating, right? Almost all of them are planning out their day and going into their day with intention. This is creating structure in the mind. This creates alignment with the soul. Like planning for the day and having productivity skills is aligning the soul and the mind together, because you're acting on the higher self. You have thought about what do I really want to do? Who do I want to be in my life? And then you're preparing the mind to do that, right? Like that's finding alignment. And so this is the way that I want us to start thinking about personal development. The entire field of personal development in the modern era is teaching metaphysics. We're not calling it that because we're scared to talk about vibration and like it's woo-woo and like, oh, we're creating our reality. All this is bullshit. It's like Tony Robbins is talking about metaphysics. The book Think and Grow Rich is a book about metaphysics. The original version of Think and Grow Rich had the word vibration in it all over the place, but they took out the word vibration in order to make it more palatable. Okay, so the book Think and Grow Rich is about metaphysics. Anything like Jim Rohn, Wayne Dyer, like all of these people, even Oprah, to a large extent, like a lot of it is metaphysics. And so understanding this stuff gets me excited, obviously. Like I'm jumping all over the place because this stuff is so fun for me. Okay, so that's it. Creative power increases through alignment. The more we can find balance in the body and the mind and then act on the desire of the soul. So the soul is going to communicate to us gently and through emotion. Okay, so the soul is never going to pound down your door and be like, you have to do this, right? It's going to like communicate to you gently and loving, like that the feeling of highest love, the feeling of like, what is the best I can be in my life? Who am I truly? Who am I authentically? That is the soul communicating. It's higher consciousness channeling to you all the time, and it's always there. It's just that we get out of touch, we fall out of alignment. The mind starts thinking too much, we start going crazy. The body is out of balance. We've eaten a bunch of corn chips and we've eaten a bunch of ice cream. I'm saying that because I have done that so many times. And then we start to lose emotional well-being, and we start to lose connection with the higher self. And that's when we start to get to the point where like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know where I want to go. I don't know what even excites me anymore. It's because the body and mind have fallen out of balance. So if we want to create balance, we want to create alignment, everything good comes from creating alignment. So creative power increases through alignment. I've hit on this point, I think, enough. And so lastly, this is the game. So this is Metaphysics 101. This is the idea of metaphysics as a field of study, especially modern metaphysics, is that through an understanding of how reality is, and how reality works, we have higher capacity to create the life that we desire. Okay? And so this is the game of self-realization, waking up to the fact that you are a creator. You always have been and you always will be. Like, through these types of processes, developing self-awareness and developing mastery over the body and mind, our creative power increases. And so self-realization is the process of developing mastery and then realizing the self, realizing your true nature, realizing your true nature as a creator of your own reality. And it's the most beautiful process. It's the most beautiful process of life. And the wonderful part about all of this is that when you wake up to your status as a true creator, you have happiness, you have contentment, you have joy, you have clarity, you have peace, you have connection with others, you have success financially, you have purpose in your mission, you have impact on the world around you. This is where influence lives. If you want to have influence and change the world, like, this is where it is. Okay? So this is the idea, this is metaphysics as a field of study. And this, I hope you can feel why this is so exciting to me, and I hope that this is exciting to you as well. I think this stuff is so cool. This is the type of stuff that I studied, that I discovered at 17, that helped me get through the biggest traumas of my life and helped me to contextualize them, because hard shit happens. Why is this hard to do? Because life happens. Life is tough, right? Like, we are not educated on how to properly fuel the body or move the body or breathe. Like, we don't have a lot of these skill sets. We weren't taught this in school. So a lot of our problems as a culture are arising out of just misunderstanding of how to control the body and mind. So this is metaphysics. I hope that this is exciting to you. Again, me teaching this is not because I'm trying to be a master. I'm not a spiritual master. I mess this stuff up all the time. It's because teaching is a learning tool. The fastest way to learn is to teach. The quickest way to awaken is to help another person awaken more quickly. That's a quote from Conversations with God. And so the reason why I want to teach, the reason I'm sharing, is because I want to awaken more quickly. I want to remember this stuff on a daily basis. I want to keep myself in alignment on a daily basis, because I have experienced over my 10 years of studying this, that's where happiness comes from. True long-term happiness comes from understanding alignment and living in alignment with the authentic self. Controlling the mind through meditation and through gratitude practice and appreciation, keeping that perspective that life is a precious thing. Like, this is the practice. It's understanding metaphysics. And so I am teaching because I want to understand it. I'm teaching because I want to learn and remember. And that's it. I'm not trying to be a master. And I'm not one, and I'm very far from it, actually. So I hope you found this interesting. If you find these ideas interesting, get the book, Conversations with God, book 4. Dropped it on the ground. Actually, start with book 1. There's 4 books in the series. Definitely start with book 1. I have read each of these books about 10 times, okay? And I've been on this process for about 10 years, studying meditation, studying different wellness practices. But the thing is, if you're interested in this type of material and these types of ideas, start diving into it. Start to experiment with it. I'm not asking you to take any of this as truth. The job of the spiritual student is to practice, is to experiment and use these tools over and over and over and over again. And so you have to prove it to yourself through practice. So this is the game. This is the practice. It's a never-ending practice, developing alignment in the body and mind and mastery over time. It's a wonderful game. It's a wonderful process, and happiness is the result. I believe this is the science of happiness, and I believe this is the future of the human race, developing these skills and developing these tools. Thank you for joining me for this video. I know this was a little bit long, but I really wanted to go on a deep dive into metaphysics, this idea of the study of the higher realm, the study of non-physical consciousness, the study of all of these amazing, beautiful woo-woo things, these new age ideas that are changing the world. Remember, the entire field of personal development is effectively metaphysics. It's just we're kind of hiding it, kind of acting like that's not what we're talking about, but we are. All right, y'all, have a wonderful day. Again, if you like this video, like and subscribe, share it with a friend who could find it useful. And as always, reconnect with the self, act authentically, and live fully. Awesome. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Goodbye.